Morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you're here. Let's jump into our cosmic weather, see what we're dealing with today. All right, our solar wind is at 431.9 kilometers per second at the moment. Our planetary K index, it's a 1. Could get as high as a 3, it says, in the next 24 hours. Remember, we are awaiting the approach of a CME that hit. Not a very powerful one, but nonetheless, we will feel some effect down here. Probably today, tomorrow. Nothing in the way of coronal holes to be concerned about. And here we've got 40% chance that we could have another M-class flare, and only 5% chance that it could be X flare. And just some more information on our sunspot we've been watching right here. 1654, it's still in a state of unrest. All right, moving from there to our astrology for today. Right here, we're at the 17th. So we only have 2 more days left, or three more days left of the Capricorn Sun. 3 more days. So let's just do a final review of Capricorn, because we're looking at 2 different lights, the sun and the moon. The sun represents the conscious mind, what we are thinking about on a regular basis, and the unconscious mind, what we're thinking about underneath the surface. So when we go into the world, the conscious mind right now is focused on Capricorn. Capricorn is an earth sign. So our conscious mind is looking at the earth, looking at ways of dealing with the earth. That is kind of the focus at this point in time with the Capricorn. But we're taught a lesson in the tarot cards, which further goes on to say, because the tarot card, the Capricorn, is the devil, card of the devil. And it's not that it's a card that represents someone evil. What it represents is an illusion. The physical world is the illusion, but behind it is where the real information is. And so what we're taught with the Capricorn is to enjoy the physical, build the physical, pay attention to the practical things of the physical world, but know that all of those things find their origins in the spirit. And so we always have to find a way to look past that physical into the spirit. And when we do, we start to see something a little bit deeper in meaning. Now, the unconscious mind right now is at the beginning. We went from Pisces, which is the last sign of the zodiac. Now we're at the beginning. So there's a cycle that has just taken place with the moon back at the new beginning, and the beginning is Aries. Aries is a fire sign. Fire, as we know, moves. Fire represents ideas. In the tarot card, fire is wands. And so we've got this new beginning, this fiery creative energy that's burning underneath the surface, while on the top you have earth. So just think in life how you have seen fire and earth work together. And that's what we're working with today, fire and earth. There's ways in which one or the other could destroy the other. Fire could destroy the earth could destroy the fire, put it out. But if they work together in balanced harmony, then there's a really nice product that could come out from it. So that's our objective, learning how to balance today the fire underneath and the earth on top. Moving from the astrology to our moon, we're on the waxing phase, which means we're going upward from the new moon to the full moon. We're 37% of the way there. And on the Mayan Oracle, we still look at the Mayan Oracle, even though the Mayan calendar has come to an end. It was only the end of a cycle. Everything continues on. So we're continuing on with the way we're looking at the energy and the information. So that is why this cycle continues. It doesn't stop. It was never meant to stop. It was just signifying that we were at a cyclical place that we needed to honor and know that our count from that point begins fresh. All right, so today we're at a cosmic day. Yesterday we were at the 12-tone day, which is the preparing to jump. Today we're going to make that jump. The cosmic tones are the jumpers. They're the jumpers of the system here. And so the cosmic tone is all about endurance. It's about your presence. It's about, that full confidence in order to go forward. Because you want to go forward with full confidence. You don't want to go forward timidly, because that doesn't always work so well. Cautiously is one thing, but confidently is definitely important. And the symbol for today is the wizard. The wizard's all about timelessness. So today is cosmic timelessness, if we would, look at those two names. And the guide for today is the mirror, which is about endlessness. So today is cosmic timelessness guided by endlessness. Pretty cool, huh? A lot to think about there. And of course, this is all the last day of the wave spell, or the theme of the wind. And the wind is all about spirit, inspiration. Think of the whisperings of the wind. So we've come all this way along the theme of the wind, of inspiration, and we're ending up here with the wizard, timelessness. That inspiration is timeless. And now we're going to take that inspiration that we've delved into, and we're going to jump with it to the next phase. And the next phase will be a wave spell that will be colored blue, and it's the next symbol after the wizard, which would be the eagle. So we're going to jump from the wizard to the eagle, and we're going to begin a new theme, which will be a theme of vision. So that's where we're going to. We're going from the wizard to the vision. Okay, so we've been inspired, and now we're going to go and we're going to apply that vision that we've been inspired by over the course of the next 13 days after this. All right? All right, so that's, let's see, I forgot one part here. Our phrase for today is I endure in order to enchant transcending receptivity. I steal the output of timelessness with the cosmic tone of presence. I'm guided by the power of endlessness, and on the Gregorian calendar it is the 17th day of January 2013. Now we're ready to go on to the next piece, which is book number 4. This is part 1, book number 4, Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. So if you had a chance to listen to any more of these other than what I've played, or if you had a chance to read the books, highly recommended. One of my favorite series of all times. All right, here we go.
This is a reading from the book, The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, Volume 4. Before I begin reading this book by Baird Spalding, I will tell you that the subject at the beginning of this book is all about what the Masters have to say about something that is on the mind of a lot of people now, which is the New World Order. And that is something that scares a lot of people because they don't understand what actually the New World Order is. And I think the Masters in this book, who actually live the truth that they teach, shed the most light on what this is. And it will be good for people to hear this now, because perhaps that's what we are moving toward right now. And I'm going to begin with Chapter 1, talking about the Great White Brotherhood. This White Brotherhood, it is no sense in meaning a race consciousness, but the white light, which is inclusive of all colors. So please do understand it in that way. Chapter 1, Great White Brotherhood and World Peace. Before going further in the study of certain underlying laws and facts regarding the teachings of the Masters, it is well to consider the scope their vision covers. One must enlarge his mind and outlook upon life to that in which the Masters work in order to fully understand the full purport of their teachings. At this time we will deal chiefly with the field to be taken into consideration and the general trends of mankind in order that we may fully adapt ourselves to the work that is before us. It is necessary to know the nature and scope of a field of work before selecting the tools and laying down a plan for tending the field. We must know to what the field is adapted, what crops are to be raised, and to what end the cultivation is to be directed. There must be a purpose back of all work, and it is far beyond the reaches of what we commonly call our own individual nature. Each man's nature, in one way and another, is vitally associated with the life and well-being of every other individual in the world, and what affects one must in some degree affect the rest of humanity. I feel that this discussion of peace should be very general, because everyone is interested. The fact is that the world is becoming peace-minded, and that people are saying that we have had enough of war. People are beginning to understand that war is not a natural condition, and to understand that all those who assume the role of providence by setting themselves up as the embodiment of perfect justice, the creators of happiness, are only deceivers. Peace and happiness, the heart's desire of all humanity, is not a gift to be bestowed upon mankind, but has to be earned by honest effort. There is not such a thing as political miracles. Man has to realize that he alone has the power to work out his destiny with his own intelligence. This sweeping tide of human interest in that which will promote and guarantee peace is the inevitable working out of the universal law which always moves to promote the common good. God is no respecter of persons, and this awakening of men along peace lines is their response to the movement of the spirit of peace, which is fostered by the masters. Only as the individual identifies himself with universal law can he expect to find his individual good, for it is inseparably united with the individual good. It is inseparably united with the common good. For this reason, true progress is slow and suffering is great. There is a great brotherhood throughout the world who have been working for peace for thousands of years. They are back of every movement for world peace and are becoming stronger and stronger all the time. There are now about 216 groups throughout the world. Now remember, this was written back in 1948, so that number has probably grown quite a lot. There is always one central unit as a first or centralizing body, and 12 units which surround that unit, giving it more force and power. They are working also for the enlightenment of the whole world. These groups are really composed of human beings who are actuated by the high thought of the White Brotherhood. All of these groups work together. There is very strong thought coming to the whole world for peace and enlightenment as well. There are many misconceptions regarding the White Brotherhood. It must first be understood that they never make themselves known as such, nor are they exclusively back of any outer organization or organizations. They are universal in their function and purpose. They definitely work with the universal law to universal ends, and any individual or group working toward the same ends without selfish or group motives may receive their full support. This support may be known on the part of the man, but it is more likely to come in the form of an unknown stimulus. That is, the help is not likely to assume the form of that coming from any definite place or person. Those receiving the support are conscious only of the help or influence. The League of Nations originally was an instrument of the White Brotherhood, but it was misused in many ways by certain nations and individuals. It will, however, come back under the guidance of the Brotherhood, but sometime in the future. The birth of a new order is in process. We are witnessing right now the destruction of an old civilization. The White Brotherhood will assert itself positively on the most important issues when the time is propitious. The time has come when there can be no halfway ground in this purification of the race. Whether or not individuals or groups array themselves against the common good in this day. The mills of God grind swiftly at times and also finely. Only from the shiftings shall the selfish and aggressively grasping rear a new life structure. It were far better to unify oneself with purely creative motives than contribute to universal good, for thereby shall good come to the individual. Often the influences working in universal ideas come into being without much notice. It is something that seems to germinate and move forward as a contagion, while the minds of many are still so engrossed in other things that they do not notice the change. Then, all of a sudden, each individual seems to realize that it has come into being and that it is in exact accord with his own secret thoughts. Thus he very often slips into the new order rather unknowingly. The point is to be alert to these secretly developing forces within oneself and in the race, and here one will find the key to his most rapid progress and most vital service in the universal cause. India has maintained peace by using methods identical to those used by these 216 groups about which I have spoken. It was brought about originally by 12 groups, which have expanded and are still expanding. The influence of these bodies has been very great, entering into the whole fabric of Indian thought. Their work from the outer point of view has been largely educational. They release information orally, which is acted upon under their direction. Results prove the efficacy of this method. Gandhi studied the situation of nonviolence for 20 years before he began his work, becoming a very deep student of it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is today's UFO News. I have 4 stories for us. 4 stories. Story number 1 comes to us from Australia. It was during a wildfire and it was recorded on television news. All right, from a news feed, let me turn this off so you could, or turn this on so you could hear it. There we go.
The raging bushfires that have swept across Australia continue to spread as strong winds and record temperatures fan the flames. Firefighters are still battling 130 fires across New South Wales, 40 of which
All right, you should be able to see it there right across the screen. Very interesting. Okay, so we're going to move from Australia. Let's move over to our next location, and that is the moon. There's been a lot of sightings at the moon. Been reported claims about unidentified flying objects caught on camera or video in the sky above the Earth. Recently, there is an increasing use of NASA camera feeds at the International Space Station. Moreover, there is an increasing number of individuals who are claiming to have used their telescopes and cameras to observe UFOs around the moon, according to the International Business Times. Many of the strange things observed by people have been posted to YouTube. These videos allow the witnesses to ask opinions from the online community for their strange encounters. Also, the online community gets a chance to examine the anomalies, whether they are hoaxes, extraterrestrial origin, or just a normal phenomenon. However, most videos posted on YouTube showing alleged UFOs or aliens are lack of specific, helpful information to come up with visual evidences, so it is very difficult to identify what is real and what are created by talented people using software applications. Lunar anomalies are not new, and there have been reports of them as early as the 1700s by astronomers. These include mysterious bright lights or glowing spots on the moon. In 1869, there was a study conducted by Great Britain's Royal Astronomical Society about unusual movement of lights. On July 1953, science editor of the New York Herald Tribune, John J. O'Neill, claimed to have noticed a large bridge-like object through his telescope. The object was allegedly spanning 12 miles in the certain part of the moon known as the Mare Crisium. O'Neill's sighting was confirmed by other observers, including Hugh Percy Wilkins of the British Astronomical Association. The sighting became known as O'Neill's Bridge, but later confirmed to be nothing more than a combination of light and shadows. And you can see there's a couple of videos here. It's Buzz Aldrin talking about UFOs out there, and obviously all the different ones up by the sun as well. So a lot of stuff going on up in the skies up out there. Okay, over Alabama, we've got a silver disc. It's reported by a couple driving north along I-65. The couple claimed to have seen the UFO about 50 feet away, 20 feet off the ground. Witness said that the lights were brighter than any other lights. Initially, they thought that the lights were coming from a tower. They were supposed to turn left, but decided to go right because of their curiosity of the bright lights. It paid off when they saw this craft at very close range. They said it was a silver disc with white lights on both sides and flashing red lights in the middle front. The disc-shaped UFO tilted toward them, and they felt it was watching them. Moments later, the two-story building blocked their view of the UFO when the driver whipped the car around. The object was gone. The couple reported that 4 other people saw the object but did not follow it. All right. And our very last one. This is an interesting story. Live UFO on YouTube. Social networking not for humans anymore. This comes from the Examiner. On January 12th, 2013, a UFO appeared in the video feed from Night Vision Skywatch camera, broadcasting live over YouTube. The recording shows a UFO emitting intermediate pulses of varying intensity light as it travels south to north over a 21-second period of observation. The apparently first-of-its-kind recording, facilitated through Google Plus and archived directly to YouTube servers, may provide evidence that social networking online is no longer an exclusively human domain. It is remarkable how there are no anticipated satellites in this part of the sky for this location at 7:33 am Pacific Standard Time. Tracking websites heavenabove.com are both able to predict the flashing object's night passage. The UFO is distinguished for its nonconformist lighting display, unlike those required for commercial or military aircraft. The fact that makes it the brightest appearance upon entry into the image frame suggests the possibility of higher dimensional influences orchestrating this part of the live online video production. All right. I don't know that the video is linked here. Let's see if this is it. No, I don't think that's just regular YouTube. Okay, the link's here so you can follow it. That is our UFO news for today. Let me jump away for a moment. I will be right back. I got some more stuff for you. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
All right. And people are stepping up and not being afraid of their governments, which is good, because fear of the government should not be happening. You know, when they talk about the war on terror, it doesn't seem like they're the terrorists. They terrorize people every day with their ideas and their thoughts, and then they scare them because they'll drop a line out that the media picks up. Because I know a lot of us, we think that those in power, those in government are stupid. But they really can't be that stupid. I think they may appear to be that way, but maybe that's an act. Because we certainly have talked about the influences of propaganda that are used. Joseph Goebbels' playbook, basically. And if they understand that, then they understand that when someone in a position like they're in says a certain word, it's going to be picked up. So you have to think about when Biden comes out and he drops the hint that Obama is going to sign these executive orders. They have to know that that's going to create a certain response from people. Some people are going to panic. Some people aren't going to panic. They have to know those statistics. So it's just one long game, and it's a game that's to continue the fear upon people. Because if you continually fear like something's going to be taken away, it puts you in a certain state of unease. Well, when we stand up, which is what we're supposed to do, that's what the Declaration of Independence says that we should do. That's what our founding fathers did. When we step up, our government sees that we are the ones who are in charge. And it's not just the government of the United States, but the governments around the world. Because there shouldn't be any sort of dictatorial power anywhere around the world. This planet is filled with too many good people. So stepping up doesn't have to be a violent thing either. It doesn't have to be violent at all. It can be completely peaceful. It can just be a matter of standing up. Because when you look at the troublemakers, let's say in the United States alone, between Congress and the president, we're talking 600 or less. 600 or less. There's 300 and some million people in this country. So we have 600 people versus 300 million. And the 600 are telling the 300 million how to live. That number's a bit out of balance, don't you think? So when we really look at what we're afraid of as a whole, we'll find out that it's just a small little mouse. And we just need to not be afraid of that, because 600 versus 300 million. Big difference, right? Well, here's 47 states that are standing up against the most recent announcements that Obama made yesterday. 47 states. Says thousands of gun owners across America have had enough of the Obama administration's attack on the Second Amendment, and they're preparing to take their concerns to the capitals in at least 47 states this coming Saturday, the 19th, at 12 p.m. Texan Eric Reed, founder and national coordinator of the Guns Across America rallies, told WND he's irritated about all the talk of new gun control regulations and overreach by the federal government in violation of our Second Amendment rights. He goes on to say, I was trying to figure out why people weren't being more proactive about this. Then I realized I'm part of the problem. It takes somebody to stand up and say, hey, we're not going to accept this. We're against this. We want Americans who feel the same way to come out. We want to stand up, be united, and get our point across. So here you could see it's the local state capitol buildings, wherever your particular building is. And this is this coming Saturday at high noon. And then it has lists here of states that are participating. So we got Alabama, Arizona, Alaska's trying to get going, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska and Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, South Dakota, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. So just about all are participating. A couple still need organizers. Like New Jersey needs an organizer. Vermont needs an organizer. Oh no, Vermont has one. Wyoming needs an organizer. New Jersey. So, and Alaska needs an organizer. So if you're in any of those states, they have a website. And the website would be Guns Across America. So if you just follow this link, it'll get you right there. All right. So let's move on from there. This story was pretty interesting. Sandy Hook mom says clairvoyant son 5 refused to go to school, saving his life. Sandy Hook Elementary School mother Karen Dreyer shares her emotional and uncanny story that saved her 5-year-old son's life from that horrific December 14th shooting. Hollybaby.com has come all the... Okay, let's get into it here. Karen Dyer's worst nightmare started to unravel when her young son Logan Dyer, 5, became so anxiety-ridden when he went to kindergarten at Sandy Hook Elementary School that she decided to pull him out of school just 2 weeks before the deadly massacre. Like any parent, Karen could not understand why her usually happy, healthy son Logan all of a sudden started having panic attacks while in school. Little did she know that, like her own late mother, her son had the gift to foresee the future. Nancy tells HollyBaby.com exclusively that Logan started kindergarten in September 2012. He was perfectly fine in September and October, and in November he started acting strange. I got an email from his teacher saying that he was a little weepy, and when I started getting phone calls that Logan was crying and wanted to go home. Eventually it got so bad I took him to the doctor, who ran tests saying that Logan was perfectly healthy. I remember the principal, Dawn Hospring, getting on her knees and saying to Logan, "We love you, and this is a wonderful place." Logan screamed back saying, "No, no, it's not a safe place. I am scared." Logan's doctor suggested we take him out of school for a couple of weeks and homeschool him. So we had a tutor come in once a day for an hour, and we would visit the school once a week so he could see his friends and his teachers. But whenever we visited the school, he would start shaking and trembling. He would cry, and he wouldn't open his eyes, says Karen. The principal and the school psychologist, Mary Sherlock, 56, who spoke to Logan on the phone daily while he was being homeschooled, were both among the first killed in the shootings. Logan was perfectly normal, whatever we were to expect at school. Karen explained we couldn't say that the word school in the house because he would get so upset. I would cry because I couldn't understand what was wrong with my son. I just wanted him to be normal. My teenage daughter went to Sandy Hook and she loved it, so we have a long history there. I would get so frustrated, but I know my son and I had to listen to what he was saying. I'm not going to give him medication. I just had to be with him and trust that everything happens for a reason. We lived down the street from school and just been there 2 days before the shooting. I remember getting a text that said that there had been an incident and local schools would be on shutdown. Then I went to the internet and read that there had been a shooting at Sandy Hook. I don't know why, but I grabbed my son and ran down to the school. I wanted to help. I felt so fortunate because I was one of the lucky parents hiding their child. My mother Millie, who passed away a couple of months ago, was psychic, and I know now without a doubt my son has the same gift. So, pretty interesting story. Very interesting story that the kid picked up on that, but kids are very perceptive, so it's no surprise, right? Okay. Now, here we've got the 3-minute news report from Suspicious Observers. Here we go.
Good morning, folks. Kicking off with a good article and graphic here on nitrogen dioxide and the trapped heat. I have also linked below the stereo image artifact page. All the satellite anomalies you see on YouTube videos these days are mostly a product of ignorance. Mr. Third Day watching satellites thinks he's found something, doesn't want to hear this, and I'm sorry, but it is what it is. There's very real stuff happening right now, but 99.9% of the satellite videos you see from YouTube amateurs are doing little more than killing our credibility. Moving on. There was a 4.5 near Iceland yesterday. Will someone please make sure Katla took her sleeping pill? Also had a tremor south of Easter Island near that fault convergence. One buoy in event mode. Not really much of an event though. Perhaps even more the lack of data. Interesting story out of Manitoba where they don't know if a huge electric arc from a power station caused a green flash in the sky or if it was an asteroid. Cyclone Amang is small, trekking west slowly, not very strong. Australia will get a slight break from the killer heat these coming days. Thunderstorm zones in New Zealand as well. Europe with an isolated low spinning counterclockwise as they always do in the north, bringing a significant amount of rain to the southern states, and there's more to come, like in Malta, updating yesterday's hailstorm story with pictures. Out west, another low in the North Pacific is churning moisture over land just in time to smack cold, dry air and dump itself onto Canada, Alaska, and a little further south. The watch zones this evening are a product of Winter Storm Helen. Up north we might scoff at it and forget the icy driving jokes. It's no joke when the trees down south have all their leaves and hundreds of pounds of snow on branches takes out power lines. Snow will make its way north by the weekend. The first CME was supposed to strike this morning. It technically began last night and peaked in the orange density there without much change in the wind speed. The impact was weak, won't cause damage, just inductions and PC1 pulsations. Look bottom left on the sun. A filament rips away from the limb and away from Earth, producing minor ejecta, but does so just in time for the SDO to go haywire, as happens from time to time. When it cuts back in, you can tell we just missed an eruption on the bottom right. Well, no worries. We go to the GOES X-ray imager. Bottom right, you can see that flare. And again, not a bad tool. The flare was long duration, low energy. See flare status pumped out an enormous CME, however, which might even clip Earth. Here it is on the last GOES C3. But wait, the Earth footprint has been connected to that region for days, and after that long duration flare in CME, it got shot up to that mega spot which is still decaying. That means it got surged. That magnetic connection is legit. Charged particle events began shortly after our tether to the sun got that surge, and since our planetary energy is in flux again, with more space weather coming, Mercury set to conjoin the sun, and perhaps another coronal hole turning in, the Quake Watch continues with a look at what's coming through August. Eyes open. No fear, it's 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
All right, very good. All right, so we have been talking about the events of Sandy Hook as the latest conspiracy false flag. Now, a false flag doesn't necessarily mean that nobody gets injured. Obviously, there are stories out there that people did get injured, but it's kind of an event that usually involves mixing together live along with something staged, and that is where the confusion comes in, because then knowing the difference of where is the line between what is real and what is not. And unfortunately, these events have happened time and time again throughout history, so much so that we've become so conditioned as a society just to get fooled by them. It's like the professor, the professor at Florida Atlantic University. He was saying that he feels that as a society we've been conditioned to be duped, and we have in so many ways, because people, no matter how much you tell them that they're being lied to, the mainstream media, some people have it so ingrained that they go to that and they just sit and stare at it all day long, and it doesn't matter how much they're told that the lies exist. So, it just seems to be in human nature just to be duped, to not want to know. Maybe it's too easy, to maybe it's too difficult. Maybe the denial is a big thing, it seems to be. Anyway, I'm rambling. Next piece I want to get to, as far as false flags, is I want to step away from the Sandy Hook, and I want to look at one that we all know is a big false flag, 9/11. Don't want to forget about that one, because Obama's doing his job of really moving the agenda along, with the New World Order agenda. But before he was in there, let's not forget about Bush and all the stuff he did, because that man is every bit as much a war criminal and is every bit as much involved with a lot that has gone wrong. Him and his whole administration, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Condoleezza Rice. Anyway, this is a piece about 9/11. It's a 5-minute piece. Good summary, just to remind us.
Morning of September 11th, 2001, 19 men armed with box cutters, directed by a man on dialysis in a cave fortress halfway around the world, using a satellite phone and a laptop, directed the most sophisticated penetration of the most heavily defended airspace in the world, overpowering the passengers and the military combat-trained pilots on 4 commercial aircraft before flying those planes wildly off course for over an hour without being molested by a single fighter interceptor. These 19 hijackers, devout religious fundamentalists who like to drink alcohol, snort cocaine, and live with pink-haired strippers, managed to knock down 3 buildings with 2 planes in New York, while in Washington a pilot who couldn't handle a single-engine Cessna was able to fly a 757 in an 8,000-foot descending 270-degree corkscrew turn to come exactly level with the ground, hitting the Pentagon in the budget analyst office where DoD staffers were working on the mystery of the $2.3 trillion that Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld had announced missing from the Pentagon's coffers in a press conference the day before, on September 10th, 2001. Luckily, the news anchors knew who did it within minutes.
Osama bin Laden.
The pundits knew within hours.
Osama bin Laden.
The administration knew within the day.
Terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them.
And the evidence literally fell into the FBI's lap.
That a hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
But for some reason, a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists demanded an investigation into the greatest attack on American soil in history. That investigation was delayed, underfunded, set up to fail, a conflict of interest, and a cover-up from start to finish. It was based on testimony extracted through torture, the records of which were destroyed. It failed to mention the existence of WTC-7, Able Danger, P-TECH, Sibel Edmonds, OBL and the CIA, and the drills of hijacked aircraft being flown into buildings that were being simulated at the precise same time that those events were actually happening. It was lied to by the Pentagon, the CIA, the Bush administration, and as for Bush and Cheney, well, no one knows what they told it because they testified in secret, off the record, not under oath, and behind closed doors. It didn't bother to look at who funded the attacks because that question is ultimately of little practical significance. Still, the 9/11 Commission did brilliantly, answering all of the questions the public had, except most of the victims' family members' questions, and pinned blame on all the people responsible, although no one so much as lost their job, determining the attacks were
failure of imagination.
Because
Nobody in our government, at least, and I don't think the prior government that could envision flying airplanes into buildings.
Except the Pentagon, FEMA, NORAD, and the NRO. The DIA destroyed 2.5 terabytes of data on Able Danger, but that's okay because it probably wasn't important. The SEC destroyed their records on the investigation into the insider trading before the attacks, but that's okay because destroying the records of the largest investigation in SEC history is just part of routine record keeping. NIST has classified the data that they used for their model of WTC-7's collapse, but that's okay because knowing how they made their model of the collapse would jeopardize public safety. The FBI has argued that all material related to their investigation of 9/11 should be kept secret from the public, but that's okay because the FBI probably has nothing to hide. This man never existed, nor is anything he had to say worthy of your attention, and if you say otherwise, you are a paranoid conspiracy theorist and deserve to be shunned by all of humanity. Likewise him, and her. And her, and her, and him. Osama bin Laden lived in a cave fortress in the hills of Afghanistan, but somehow got away. Then he was hiding out in Tora Bora, but somehow got away. Then he lived in Abbottabad for years, taunting the most comprehensive intelligence dragnet employing the most sophisticated technology in the history of the world for a decade, releasing video after video with complete impunity and getting younger and younger as he did so, before finally being found in a daring SEAL team raid which wasn't recorded on video, in which he didn't resist or use his wife as a human shield, and in which these crack special forces operatives panicked and killed this unarmed man, supposedly the best source of intelligence about those dastardly terrorists on the entire planet. Then they dumped his body in the ocean before telling anyone about it. Then a couple dozen of that team's members died in a helicopter crash in Afghanistan. This is the story of 9/11, brought to you by the media which told you the hard truths about...
His head could be seen to move violently forward.
And...
They took the babies out of the incubators.
And...
Mobile production facilities.
And...
The rescue of Jessica Lynch.
If you have any questions about this story, you are a batshit paranoid tinfoil dog-abusing baby hater and will be reviled by everyone. If you love your country and or freedom, happiness, rainbows, rock and roll, puppy dogs, apple pie, and your grandma, you will never ever express doubts about any part of this story to anyone. Ever.
Alright, so, just a little piece to remind us. Let us not forget, goofball in office right now. He's doing a lot to make people forget about the last couple guys. I don't forget. And I know there's a lot of others who aren't. Okay, so 9/11 was only one of the particular conspiracies that went on to September 11th, 2001, but then we had a 9/11 that occurred last year, and now this event is, the term and the idea of a 9/11 event, that's really kind of one of the catchphrases that they're using. If you were to look up propaganda techniques, one of the steps of propaganda techniques is to take a simple slogan or phrase and repeat it over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. And that is what is done in these administrations, in these campaigns. And so, yes we can. Yes we can, little simple phrases. Anyway, this is an article from Baccalaureate Press. It's called The 30 of History's Greatest Conspiracy Theories. So we're going to go down this list here. Chemtrails. Right now, this is something that's being brought to light, and people still think, and get the chemtrails mixed up with the contrails. Contrails are the tail of smoke that comes off an airplane, but those contrails will dissipate very quickly within a short period of time, and maybe those contrails are only 2 to 3 lengths of the plane, and they'll dissipate as the plane's flying along. You'll see. You've all seen them. But chemtrails are different. They are those long, thick clouds that line the sky like this, and they don't dissipate, and they spread out. Okay? There's a good movie out there called What Are They Spraying? Global warming is a hoax. It's another one of the conspiracies. You've got those who are saying that man created all the global warming incidents, and the very ones who are saying that are those who are creating the big companies and all the problems that are going on. So they're trying to pass on to humankind their sins or their problems and make them our problems, when indeed global warming is something that is not being done by the people on the planet. It's comes from the outside. Sun get warm, planet get hot. You know, one of those kind of things. All right, then we got the AIDS virus was created in a laboratory. This is another one of the hoaxes. That in the 70s, Dr. William Campbell Douglas, he put out a theory that many believe that HIV was genetically engineered in '74 by the World Health Organization. In book Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper, he goes on further to suggest that the CIA put up the money for this funding, and that later one of the popes, was it Pope John Paul II, when he was a young kid, that he was actually a salesman working for, was it Farber Pharmaceuticals, and he was selling cyanide gas to the Germans. Then you have the HARP. This is one of them. The HARP project, which shoots the microwaves into the air based off of Tesla's technology. We've seen the stories of the plastic coffins and concentration camps, the FEMA camps. And there's the story of the tsunami, that perhaps the tsunami was something that was created using some sort of technology. And then, of course, the fluoridation. Water's being fluoride treated. The other day on flipping through the shows, you know, one guy was promoting vaccines, and then shortly after that he was promoting fluoride. You know, and people don't know. Okay, and we got, of course, the Pan Am flight. Conspiracy with there. And we go to the Philadelphia experiment. I'm just going to zip through the rest of the list here. Pearl Harbor attack, which we now know the Gulf of Tonkin was this false flag. Pearl Harbor conspiracy, Peak Oil conspiracy. Elders of Zion. Despite being utterly discredited for at least 100 years, belief in this document has proved remarkably resilient on the internet. The text takes the form of instruction manual to new members of the elders, describing how they will run the world through control of the media and finance, and replace traditional social order with one based on mass manipulation. It's kind of like the professor said, people are being conditioned to be duped. Story of the Harold Wilson as a Soviet spy, black or unmarked helicopters, the Moscow apartment building bombings, these 2005 two bombings, Paul is dead, that one's still out there, disappearance of Shagar, Shakespeare was somebody else, North American Union, MK Ultra, we've heard plenty about that one. People are still concerned that this is something that's taking place these days. Operation Northwoods, declassified information on false flag event. Elvis faked his own death. We've got the Princess Diana murders, again believed to be a planned event, an assassination like John F. Kennedy. And of course the Jesus conspiracy, the Da Vinci Code, and Mary. And then of course the Illuminati New World Order. You know that story very well. The moon landing conspiracy, the Roswell crash, John F. Kennedy assassination, and of course the biggest conspiracy of all, September 11th, 2001. So all of these conspiracies, as you know, you can see from that list, a good many of them are generated false flag events. False flag events are events that are done and where somebody does something bad and they blame somebody else, and then that is usually done to get someone into war. When these events happen, there's a pattern. Usually there's a planned event going on at the same time, an exercise. Usually there's a lot of confusion. The site is closed down right off the bat, so you really can't see the evidence. It's very controlled. Again, if you go to Joseph Goebbels, look him up, look up his propaganda list, and you will see that all of these false flags, there's a pattern of how they do it. And there's a whole list, a checklist And you could see each one of these events. You go down the checklist, and that's what's going on. So one of the things I want to mention in regards to all of these different conspiracies and things that are out there, and then go back to the earlier piece, New World Order. New World Order is a term that we have heard for a number of years. George Bush Sr. was one of the first ones who brought it back into attention, or brought the word to attention, and ever since then. And it's moving forward towards an agenda of global government. Yet at the beginning of the piece, you heard Grace, before she was doing the reading, talk about New World Order in relation to the Great White Brotherhood. Those two things are completely different. The New World Order of the Great White Brotherhood and what they're talking about is an order. It's not even a physical order. It's just a common understanding of humanity coming together all under the guise and all under the spirit of God, under the spirit of spirit, to act together and work together. The New World Order that those are trying to impose is a restrictive, prison-like system of control. It's completely different. Those that are trying to do such things down here on the earth are taking divine principles and they're turning them around into their own ways. They're twisting them and trying to make it seem as if these are theirs, these are their ideas, and it's a confusion. It's how you confuse the people. You steal something that's theirs and you make it your own, and then people don't know the difference because you've twisted it. It's the way that Hitler took the swastika. It wasn't a sign of anything evil. It was a sign of something good, how energy moved. But Hitler took it, twisted it around, and when he put that information out there, for majority of those people who don't look any further to see what the swastika really means, he's twisted around to his agenda, and that's all they see, the negative aspect of it, because he put that kind of influence. So New World Order, we only see the negative influence because the influence, the way the powers that be want to put that in place, isn't negative. We don't want any of that. But what the spiritual hierarchies want us to understand, that's very important. That we do want, and that we're a part of, and that we're evolving to. Now, as we evolve, this is a piece. I'm going to play a part of it, not the whole thing. It's a 10-minute piece. It's about the flower of life. And this is a very, well, good piece. Let's listen to it here. I'm going to...
Hey everybody. So what you're looking at here is I created a complex flower of life drawing, and the reason I did this was because, as you know, so far what I've been doing is I have been providing grids in order to show the image comparisons. And so I was looking at the Orion constellation, and of course, you know, it has that Barnard's loop that circles the whole Orion constellation, and it ends right inside the Orion Nebula. So what I decided to do was use the flower of life and put that on top of the whole Orion constellation. Well, what you're going to see here is you're going to see that the whole Barnard's loop does actually end right where the Orion Nebula does. But in addition to that, since we have that Church of the Gesu, the Mother Jesuit Church, called the fresco called Triumph of the Name of Jesus by Baxicchio, that was done in 1679, what I decided to do was go ahead and put the flower of life on that as well. And then what I do is I do a comparison and show you the lines in the flower of life, both the exact same size as compared to the painting and the Orion constellation. And I think that what I have finally figured out is how to show everybody, especially since this is all sacred geometry anyway. I think this is probably even better than the grid method. But I think you're going to be pretty convinced after you see this that these are the exact same image, and I think it looks really good. But anyway, here's my flower of life comparison, or my flower of life that I created. Now this is the initial comparison right here. Now, to show you what I did, okay, so basically these flower of life images are the exact same size. We're looking at the exact same comparison, but I want to show you what I did just to show you the sacred geometry is correct. If you take a look at the points right here and the way it's moving along the lines of this painting, also take a look at the, you have two circles here, one that's right here and one that's right here. And in the middle of that, where this Vesica Pisces is the very bright area that's right in the center. And if you notice this area right here, where it's light, you can see how it follows the sacred geometry right here all the way through. And then the shell right here opens up, and then the top shell right here goes the opposite direction. And then we have this area over here on the right, and where its placement is and how it comes up as far as the whole Fibonacci spiral. You can see how the sacred geometry follows the lines of the painting as well. And so I think what you're going to see here is that these are the same. The bright area, as you can see in the Orion constellation, is where the Orion Nebula is. If we follow this loop all the way around, this circle all the way around, we can see that the circle comes up here and it passes by this gray cloud right here. The gray cloud follows the line of this circle and continues up, but it also by this gray cloud right here. The gray cloud follows the line of this circle and continues up, but it also splits off and goes up here to the right. We're going to see that in both images. And as we continue this circle, then if we continue it around and we make it tighter, then we see that what ends up happening is this circle ends up going right into the middle where this bright area is, and it does the same thing right here. So these are the exact same comparisons that we're looking at right here. And that gray area that I was showing you right here, one going this way and one going this way, is what you're seeing with this blue area right here, where you have one going this way following the arc of that circle. You have a blue area stretching out this way, and you have another one stretching out that way. Okay, so you can look at them, compare the two if you like. Compare the gray areas right here that come up against the blue areas that come up. Splits in two. One follows the line of the circle, just like the gray does, and it ends right in the very center where the bright area is, right where the Orion Nebula is.
Alright. So I'm going to leave the video for you to watch the rest of the comparison there. But I wanted you to see that the flower of life obviously is an important symbol that can be shown in nature. It can be shown as representative in art that others have created. So it's an important symbol. So let's consider that idea of unfolding. Here we are at 2012 or 2013. We've come out of a big experience. Things have changed. And we're all looking for what is the meaning of this? Where do we go from here at the beginning of this new cycle? So imagine yourself floating in a pool of water, like a baby just floating in the mother's womb. And imagine the light of the universe hitting you, and that you are filled with inspiration. And as you are filled with inspiration, which you see as multicolored light, your energy begins to ripple outward. And as the energy begins to ripple outward, you feel yourself expanding. And as you continue to expand outward like a flower expands, you find that you are connecting with others, and you find yourself connecting in other ways to the earth, to the cosmos, to the multidimensional universe all around us and within us. And as you continue to unfold, you begin to understand that we are at a new beginning, that the previous cycle has come to an end. 26,000 years, a long journey. But that time has passed, we've made it through. And now we unfold with new opportunities. And so as we explore the new ways, the new beginning, we begin to feel and become inspired by new ideas. Perhaps ideas that we've had in the back of our minds but knew it wasn't the time. Perhaps now is the time. The time to create. The time to be. The time to do. And as you grow and expand, you feel this renewal of energy. And before you see a book. And the book opens to page 1 and the pages are blank. And a pen appears in your hand. And a voice from the sky tells you to write. Write the journey that you want to have. Explore the dreams that you've wanted to explore. For it is a new beginning. And as such, we start at the beginning of the book. So just imagine, as you travel through life, this journal stays with you. A journal that you can write your thoughts and your ideas as you continue along this journey, exploring the new opportunities before you and each one of us. Now let's just send love and light out around the whole planet, down into the earth and up into the cosmos. And just let that love reverberate. And as that goes on, let us bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. All right, there you have it, my friends. Thank you very much for being here. I'll be back tomorrow with more news information. Be safe. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.